Good morning. Today I will be starting off with question number 69, which starts off the chemistry section of this FLP. So now in question number 69, they've said that which element has the lowest ionization energy. So we know that alkali metals have the lowest ionization energy since they are in group 1. So the correct answer is C. Now in question number 70, we know that alkanes mainly undergo free radical reactions such as those with UV light in which an atom of chlorine is substituted for the alkane. Now, on question number 71, they've asked about the substitution nucleophilic reaction, SN1 reaction. Now, we know that secondary or tertiary alkanes are more likely to give SN1 reaction. So, the correct option would be B. Now, in question 72, you just have to remember that primary alcohols are oxidized to give an aldehyde, whereas the secondary alcohol they give ketone because you need to remember that the functional group of a ketone is C double bond O, single bond O. In question number 73, the correct option will be phenol. Phenol will be most likely to be attacked by an electrophile due to its excessive electronegativity and that it even has a negative charge on it. Now in question number 74, they ask us that what is acidified potassium dichromate, which is an oxidizing agent, reacts with something to give a ketone. So in the previous question, I already discussed that whenever we react a secondary alcohol with an oxidizing agent, a ketone is formed. So the correct option will be A. A is the only answer which has the secondary alcohol, meaning the OH position has the OH group has the position on carbon number 2. Now on question number 75, you need to know that aldehydes are the only thing which react both with Fehling reagent as well as sodium bromide. In question number 76, the strength of an acid is that there are lesser number of carbon atoms attached to it. So in question number 76, also the electronegativity decides how strong an acid is. So the correct option will be D because fluorine is more electronegative than chlorine and similarly for bromine. In question 77, you should know that basically this is an ionic compound. It can be further distributed into two ions, NH4 ammonium ion and chloride ion. So the correct answer will be D. Why? Because they have electrovalent because it's an ionic compound as well as covalent compounds because if we classify it as a for example chloride atom has covalent compound atoms between them. Now on question number 78, this is a stoichiometry equation. So they asked that we burn phosphorus sulfide to produce P2O5 and SO2. How many moles of oxygen gas are required to burn half mole of P4S3? So you need to note that the mole to mole ratio is equal to the volume to volume ratio. So you can see that the number of oxygen atoms over here are simply double. They've given a ratio of 8 with ratio 2. So the correct option will be that if we have half the number of P4S3, the number of moles of oxygen should also be half. The correct option would be D. Now, in question number 79, you know that to correct the number of to calculate the number of atoms in a molecule, we multiplied the number of moles with say 6 times 10 power 23. So over here they've written 6 times 10 power 24. This means that there are 10 extra molecules of carbon monoxide. And when we divide it with its respective MR, the answer will be C. Now, on question number 80, they've asked us which is not a crystalline solid. The only correct answer to this question is B. Why? Because we know that diamond, iodine, and glucose, all of them have a specific structure. For example, diamond is a macromolecule, it has a tetrahedral structure. Similarly, iodine is a covalent molecule in group 7, and glucose also has a specific structure. It is a simple molecule. However, crystal glass, if it was written only glass, then it was okay. But because it's written crystal glass, it's not a crystalline solid. Now, in question number 81, the correct option will be B. There are 14 electrons. Now you need to understand that the M shell can hold a maximum of 14 electrons in its ground state. In the first shell, the first shell can hold a maximum of 2 electrons. The second can hold a maximum of 8 electrons. Like it's likewise for the third as well, but for the M shell, it can hold 14 electrons in its ground state. Now, you can just memorize that the units for mole per dm cube per second. What they've asked you the overall order of these reactions. The overall order of these reactions will be one. Whenever you see these units, this means that the overall order of the reaction is one. Now, in question number 83, the correct option is B. Why? Because beryllium oxide is an amphoteric oxide, which means that it reacts with both acids and bases. Now, in question number 84, the net change in internal energy will be zero. Why? Because they've said that the system goes from A to B by reversible path, so there is no net change in energy. In question number 85, it's an exothermic reaction, and always exothermic reaction have a delta H, which is negative, because the products have lesser energy than the reactants. The least acidic alcohol will be the one which has the most number of carbon atoms attached to it, and it is butanol, because butanol has got 4 carbon atoms attached to it. Now they've given us the ester and asked that which is the acid which has which was used to make it. So we'll just calculate the number of carbon atoms. We know that this portion comes from the acid and this comes from the alcohol. So it's most likely butanoic acid, and the correct option is D. Option is C. Now, in question number 88, when we convert an alkyl halide to an alcohol, it's a substitution reaction because the OH group is substituted instead of the OH group, and addition reactions only occur in alkenes. Now, in question number 89, which you should know that hot hot potassium manganate is used to produce carboxylic acid from an alkene. Because why is it hot? Because hot potassium manganate provides it with activation energy, which isn't available with cold potassium manganate. Now, on question number 90, the equilibrium constant cannot be changed by any of the following substances except for temperature. Why? Because temperature simply changes the activation energy and less amount of and it basically increases the overall internal energy of the reaction as well. Now, in question number 91, they've asked us to plot a graph which would give us a straight line. So we need to know that firstly, these two quantities are inversely proportional to each other. So the correct option will be. Now, why would it be B? Because we know that K and T are inversely proportional to each other. So the inverse graph of 1 over T and log K should give us a straight line downwards. Now, in question number 92, in Fillings test, an aldehyde is oxidized to, yeah, but like I said as well before as well, that in Fillings test, an aldehyde is it can't be oxidized to an alcohol. It will be only oxidized to a ketone. And question number 93, which of the following is not an ammonia derivative? Is the correct option will be picric acid, because if you see the structure of picric acid, it basically has three NO2 groups attached to it along with an OH group. However, if you look at the structure of the following, aniline has NH2 group, hydrazine and phenylhydrazine, they all are ammonia derivatives. The correct answer is D. Now, on question number 94, carbocation. What carbocation is basically a CH3 positive group and it's an electrophile. Electrophile is basically electron loving and nucleophile is a nucleon loving. The color of the transition metal complex is always due to the D to D transitioning of electrons, because we know that transition metals don't have a fixed number of electrons in their valence shell. In question number 96, the enzyme which is links two molecules together through the breaking of high energy bonds is called, yeah, like is it. Now in question number 97, it's again 96 is the same. Now in question number 97, in which pair is the radius of the second atom greater than of the first atom? So obviously it means that the first you will have to know about the periodic trends, that as we go down the periodic table, the atomic size increases, And similarly, up to group, for example, and at if they're in the same period, an atom in group 2 or group 3 would be smaller than that of group 1. So you'll just have to look at the periodic table and then see the correct answer. I think the correct answer is A. Now, in question number 98, you need to know the abnormal trends of ionization energy. Uh, they, you can see there's a large jump between the fourth and the fifth ionization energy. However, the jump between the third and the fourth is much larger because over here there's about 10,000 jump in energy. So, on the basis of the data, element X is most likely to be from which group? Yeah, so it's most likely to be from group 3A. Why? Because you can see that it requires a large amount of energy to lose this electron from group 4. Now, in question number 99, you need to know that orange colored precipitates are only formed when we react acetaldehyde with 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. B. In question number 100, what what is formed when butanone is refluxed with a solution of sodium bromide? It's butanol, which is a secondary alcohol. Now in question 101, H2S has the least bond angle of 92 degrees. So is the answer. Now in question number 102, the correct option will be C, oxygen gas. It will be released at the anode because it's negatively charged and it will be discharged instead of sulfate ion. Now, how do we get the answer to question number 103? We divide the mass with the MR and multiply it with 6 times 10 power 23. And you'll get the correct number or the correct answer. Now in question 104, you need to know that which diagram correctly describes the behavior of fixed mass of an ideal gas. They're basically referring to Boyle's law, which states that the pressure and volume are inversely proportional to each other, and pressure and volume is a constant. So the correct option will be the most easily oxidizable species amongst the following is the one which will be easily able to lose the most amount of electrons, and it will be aluminum because it's in group 3. Now, in an acidic buffer, you need to know that it's a combination of a weak acid and a strong base. So the correct option would be the 1 mole of ethanoic acid combined with the 0.5 moles of a strong acid, which is potassium hydroxide. Now, in unsaturated hydrocarbons, they basically refer to alkenes, and we know that alkenes carry out under addition reactions. Now, in question 108, this is basically an ester. Esters are used in flavoring. The correct answer is octyl acetate, and you can remember that orange flavors and octyl have the same name. Now, question number 109, the same question previously has been repeated. It's Boyle's law. Now in question 110, they've already told us that the rate of the reaction only depends on A, it doesn't depend on B. So what will be the order of the reaction if they've said that the double P, it will have no effect and it will only be affected by A. So the correct answer will be A1. Now in question number 111, the correct option will be D. Why? Because there will be substitution reaction in which uh, basically a ketone and hydrogen cyanide will react with each other and an alcohol will be formed. Sorry, it will be an oxidation reaction. And question number 112, the tertiary structure of proteins contains which types of forces? Yeah, so it contains electrostatic, hydrogen, and van der Waals forces. Now, in question number 113, half-life is inversely proportional to initial concentration in the second order reactions. You've just got to remember this. Now, the nitration of which compound is more difficult? It is of chlorobenzene. Why? Because chlorine is an electronegative atom and basically it pulls the electrons towards it, making it more difficult for nitration to occur. The correct option for question 115 is acetone because it has the lowest boiling point of 58 degrees. The total number of electrons in a shell can be calculated by the formula 2n square, where n represents the shell number of shells. Yeah, so which pair of groups may show abnormal trends. It is group 2A and group 5A. And if they talk about the periods, it's group 3A and 6A. So the correct answer is A. Yeah, so now they're basically talking about displacement reaction. However, no reaction will take place. Why? Because we know that only a more reactive element can displace a lesser reactive element. The vice versa can take place. In question 119, the correct answer will be they've said that the mass volume of nitrogen gas is 1.12. We know that it's been half because the normal volume of gas at room temperature is 2.4 dm cube, and the normal mass of nitrogen is about 28 grams. So it's been halved as well. So the correct answer will be D. Now, carboxylic acid is the functional group isomer of, yeah, so they were it's of basically of C. What is the functional group of carboxylic acid? It's C double bond OOH. So they've asked that on in which group does the functional group already involved? It's in a ketone. Now, the best application of common ion effect is to produce a buffer solution. And what is a common ion effect? It's an effect in which the same number of atoms are repeated. In ammonia, the covalent bond is due to sp3s overlap because it has a tetrahedral structure. Now, the groups in periodic table which have comparatively low values of electron affinity, you just have to remember the trends in it as well. And they are group 2A, 5A, and 8A. B is the answer. Which reaction is exothermic, which obviously releases heat energy? So the correct on answer will be neutralization reaction. In all the other three reactions, there's an endothermic reaction which requires energy to take place. Now the physics portion has started, and I'll conclude this video. I hope that all your doubts have been solved. Thank you.